What's up, guys? We are back. Dr. Wade, Mike Tromello, and we are here to do our fourth installment of mobility.
Yep.
We've done ankles. We've done hips. We've done
mid-back,
upper back. Now we're upper back. Now we're going to the rack position. And what's cool about the rack position, I actually get weighed up about this all the time, is we have issues with this with my own athletes, right? I tend to train a lot of masters. Masters kind of lose mobility.
Yep.
Okay, and that's something that happens. Now, before we even get into the rack mobility notes, it's important for you guys to remember that your ankle mobility is still much a factor, and a lot of the factors why you might have problems in the rack is because your ankles are immobile.
Yeah, I would say that the front rack in itself is, like you said, they all add to each other, but it's also kind of an individual thing to itself. Because if you can't get the rack position, it's hard to get in the proper squat position. But vice versa, if you can't get the right squat position, then it's impossible the right rack position.
So you should be testing that ankle mobility and hip mobility.
For sure.
For sure, and make sure you're doing that. And then obviously if you have trouble just getting in position, which we're going to talk about tests that will help you get in position, that you'll see, oh, I have this issue or I don't have this issue.
Yeah.
So then this comes into play. And so you should be doing all of this. But the rack mobility is a really good one. It's something I haven't seen gone over too much in a lot of different people that I watch or frequently. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to start with, like all of our segments, a rack mobility test. So Dr. Wade's going to take away a rack mobility test, guys, so you can kind of see where that's at.
And I will start out by saying that when I first started CrossFit or front squatting or whatever you want to say, I had very poor mobility. So I went through lots of different sequences of mobility, using bands, using traction, you name it, to try to get my mobility good in the front rack. And I finally came across a system that works for me, and I really hope it works for you guys. But I was able to get good front rack position, I would say, within a week or two of just constantly doing it every single day. So let's start off
beneficial.
So let's start with the test. I'm going to go sideways so you guys can see. So when I first started CrossFit, I was probably to here, no joke. I could not get it flat at all. Okay, so I would say your test or your front rack position or progression, some people might get to their chest but their elbows are down like this, right? Ideally you like to have your elbows up and have this bar resting on the front of your clavicle, most of the front of your shoulder, like your deltoids, right? Next progression would be to bring the thumbs back but still have the elbows up, and then the most ideal position would be to have a full grip and then elbows up. And you can see that I'm not quite perfect in that. I'm still got some work to do, but a lot better than I was several years ago when I was out like this, no joke.
It's also extremely beneficial, guys. Go back to the rack position, Wade, and I tell people this all the time. A lot of people in the rack position, they just hold it. They don't realize that they need to squeeze their pecs together to be in a proper rack position, and you can see Wade, when he squeezes his pecs, he's really where he needs to be. He's got that bar on top of his scapula trap area, or scapula area, I'll call it, chest area, clavicle area. He's using that to brace it because he's squeezing. So many people, they just do a normal rack, they're here, and they realize they don't have that mobility until they squeeze. So if you can do this ultimate test by squeezing all three ways that Wade went over with you, it's going to give you a much better idea of where your rack mobility truly is.
Yeah. Okay. So then next step would be...
Next step, so that's our test, guys. That's how you're going to figure it out. You have those three methods, right? Thumbs, non-thumbs, cold hand, elbows together, etc. From there, just like always, we're going to go over our rolling and mashing segment, right? How to beat yourself up into those positions. So we're going to go over that right now.
Yep. So a lot of people like to use the bar to mash out their wrist or their triceps, muscles like that, which works. I really like to get a box like this and just put a PVC pipe on top of, basically because the PVC pipe rolls a lot better, plus I can get a lot of leverage on this PVC pipe, or I can take leverage off depending on what I want to do. I can add pressure or take pressure off, or I can even grab my hand and increase the pressure even more. So with the front rack position, there's wrist mobility, and there's also elbow, shoulder. The whole complex needs to be mobile in order to get the front rack in a proper position. So I basically just kind of mash out everything. I get my wrist, I get my forearms, you can get it on the inside of the elbow, you can get the back of the wrist, you can get the back of the arm. I'm going to quickly go through all these, right? Triceps, You know, you can get in here, you can get in here, you can go in really deep. If you want to get up higher on the tricep, you can try to get a little bit higher on the shoulder, which is obviously a little bit tougher, but you get a little bit of the teres on this side, a little bit of the lat, teres major. But anyway, you just kind of want to roll everything out as much as you possibly can, trying to get every part of the front rack loosened up. Okay? Now, we're going to come back to this. I'm going to tell you guys we're going to come back to this, but to save time, I'm not going to keep coming back to the box. So just remember all the different things I rolled out.
So you guys are going to go from that rolling and mashing session on the box, right? And the idea now is to do various wrist exercises that Wade's going to demonstrate. And while you're doing those wrist exercises, you're going to do one of the exercises, then you're going to come back to the box and mash some more.
Yeah.
Wrist exercise, back to the box. For time purposes, we're not going to go over how to do the box part. You just saw how to do that. So Wade's going to explain the wrist exercises, then he'll say, go back to the box. So that's what the reference will be.
Exactly. So I'm sure you guys have done this before in your guys' boxes or at the gym or wherever. So let me go sideways so you guys can see a little bit better. But it's very, very simple. You get, it's called the all-four position. And then you're trying to get your hands flat, get your elbow straight. You want to get 90 degrees between your arm and your chest, and 90 degrees between your wrist and your arm. So you want to get in this position and be flat. But you just want to just move up and back, forward and back I should say, and try to get those wrists as loose as you possibly can, right? And then you're going to move your hand in a clockwise and counterclockwise position. So out a little bit, you're going to do the same thing. You can rotate around, you can go multiple positions, multiple directions, right? And then you're going to bring your arms out, you're going to do the same thing, come out, go forward, go back, do circles. Whatever you need to do to loosen up that wrist, and you're just going to keep moving them all the way around until your hands are facing completely, or your fingers are facing towards you. Do the same thing, you're going to rock back and forth. Now as I'm doing this, I can feel tension through here, and I can feel some tension through here. So like Mike said, I'm going to go back to the box, I'm going to roll out with the PVC pipe on the box until that feels nice and loose. And then I'm going to go back to the ground and I'm going to do all those all those wrist exercises, movements all over again until I get to the point where I feel comfortable that my wrists are significantly loose enough, like I said, so I can get a complete 90-degree angle on all of these angles, no matter what position my wrists are in.
That's awesome. I mean, like, so guys, the Wade just made that look very easy. I mean, he got all the way through. That's really impressive.
It is tough.
A lot of people that can't.
It took me a long time to get there. No joke. It took me like a long time to get to that point.
So he's a great example of what it should look like. That is correct. You will not feel that way or look that way. Okay, at first, most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why it's crucial that as you're going through those stations or segments that's a spot, mash it out.
Yes.
A little further, that's a spot, mash it out. Okay, he was moving. That's not going to be you. So I want you guys to really emphasize the wrist exercises with the mashing out as each step.
And I will say I've been trying to do mobility really intensely for the last like 2 or 3 years. So like Mike said at first, wasn't even close to that good of wrist mobility.
And also saying this, mobility is Wade's life, so what he does for a living.
Yeah.
So he's going to demonstrate all this stuff on himself to make sure it's the best thing possible for his clients, and then we're giving that to you. So there's a lot of work that's been put into himself that you have not probably done.
I'm a good test subject.
He's a good test subject.
Because I do not have naturally good mobility.
Yeah.
And I've been able to develop it.
So it's perfect. So like, but guys, mash and exercise, okay? All right, from there we're gonna move on to our static mobility, and this one's gonna look kind of brutal.
Yeah.
It's with 2 bars, but I've had a couple of my clients do this lately, and they've gotten great results with it, so it's a really good way to get rack mobility.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do.
Increase it.
You're just gonna find your normal. You can start wider if you're really, really having a hard time with the front rack, or you can just find your normal rack position. So my normal rack position is right here. So once again, we're gonna kind of start with different levels of mobility. Now, I could even start with this bar even lower, but just to save time, we're gonna start up a little bit higher. So in the first rack position, like we showed you with the test, we can have, my elbows not quite high like they should be. They should be more up here, but we can start them a little bit lower, right? And if you cannot get your bar to touch your chest, no big deal. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna sit in this position and it's gonna hurt really bad. I've done this. I was gonna hold this for like maybe 10 or 15 seconds and then my wrist would be killing so bad that I'd have to like get away from the bar, right? So you're gonna hold this for 10 or 15 seconds. It's gonna slowly drop down. When you get to the point where you just can't handle it anymore, you're gonna step away and do like what we said. You're gonna put the bar down, you're gonna go over to that box, and you're gonna mash out whatever it is that is resisting you being able to do this movement. And then you're gonna go back to the bar, and you do the same thing. You're just gonna let that thing drop down. Hopefully it drops down a little bit further this time, right? And eventually you wanna get to this point where it's resting nice and comfortably. And like Mike said earlier, and I noticed the same thing, if I really try to bring my elbows in like this, which is simulating contracting the chest muscle, it does make it a lot easier to get the bar on my chest. But in doing that, you might have to really roll out the inside of the elbow in order to facilitate that movement.
So when we're talking about, guys, and like you're saying, your theme is this particular week is you're gonna roll and mash, you're gonna do your exercises, you're gonna roll and mash, you're gonna do your exercises, you're gonna go to your static mobility with the bars, you're gonna mash out again, you're gonna constantly work back and forth, mobility, mash, mobility, mash, mobility, mash, mobility, mash, until you can hold position as best as possible. Once you've gotten better at that, you do more functional mobility, and that's from, so obviously in weightlifting, CrossFit, weightlifting, sports, front squatting, anything, you're gonna be in various positions, squatting up all the way through, you're gonna have to have various rack positions. As a coach, where I see a lot of people lose it is when they'll clean, and they'll be here, and then their elbows will come forward, they'll lose their core, they'll be there, and they're struggling on the way up. So you wanna work those positions, okay? So Wade's gonna talk about that next part.
Yeah, so first thing we're gonna do is, I'm just gonna show you what it looks like to be at your optimal position, or even maybe a little bit extreme, where my elbows are really, really high. My chest is up. I'm pushing my chest into the bar. You can see them now, my fingers. Like I said, you might start up here, drop, drop, drop down, right, till it's flat. So this is the first position, right? Next position would be to have your thumbs involved, touching, elbows up, and then ideally you're gonna get a full grip after that and have it come down and rest in your chest. But like I said, this is an extreme position because I'm really up higher than I normally would be, but I really want to stress that elbows high position. Okay, now like what Mike was saying, we're going to show you functionally how to make this thing work for you. So I'm going to lower this thing down to, let's say, here. All right. I'm not sure why I'm not. Level? Yeah. Okay. So once you get that nice rack position, you're going to go just to fingertips. You're going to get your body over the bar, get in a rack position. But this time you're going to squat down until you're at this depth with your shoulders up. With your elbows up. You're going to push your chest into the bar. You're going to try to but have like a tall spine, or have your spine up as horizontal, vertical as you possibly can, and just hold this for a good 10 to 15 seconds, and then stand up out of it. It's going to force you to be, like Mike said, in the proper position, even when you're in a partial squat. Now, we can continue to lower this bar until we get obviously to a full squat, and then if this bar is lowered, let's say, and then I'm down all the way and the bar is still there and I'm resting on it, the goal is to be able to do this for 10 or 15 seconds with the bar, push my elbows up, and then stand out of it.
Yeah. And guys, like when I teach front squats, people that are new to front squats, I always say play a game with yourself. Can you point your elbows at the wall? And can you keep the elbows pointed at the wall the entire time? If they drop to the floor, then that's incorrect. So the idea with this is we're overemphasizing the elbows being straight pointing at a wall. We don't want to see the elbows drop at all. And in various positions, if you can get into that power clean position, that power catch position that Wade was just in, and or can you get all the way down to below parallel, like Wade was in, if you can hold those positions and perfectly straight up elbows, your rack's improving greatly.
So to combine everything we've talked to so far, if my ankle mobility is not good,
it's going to come forward.
It's going to force me forward.
It's going to come forward.
If I don't have good hip mobility, I can't get down low enough, right, into a below parallel squat. If I don't have enough stability, let's say in the mid-thoracic, we talked about stability being more important than mobility, then I can't keep my chest up Regardless if I have good rack mobility, if I don't have good stability in my upper back, once again, I'm going to roll forward, and those elbows are going to naturally drop down.
Yeah.
So that's why we're saying like every single one of these build on each other.
Guys, we're working up the body to we started with the biggest problem, and we're working our way up, but they all need to be mobile for you to be able to do these things as efficiently as you want to do.
Exactly.
So that's a wrap up, right? That is the end of our front rack mobility segment, but like we said, make sure to watch the other 3 segments because they're all connecting. And then when things connect, you might feel like, well, something's dropped. Why is this not working on? Well, maybe you missed a thoracic mobility section, something like that. So we'll see you next time, guys. Next week, whenever we get together again, we'll do another one.